I understand you enlisted some help from some of the boys in Stomp to help you do that.
That's just a rumor.
Oh, that's just a rumor. I'm sorry.
Apparently the song gets compared to Stomp a lot, but no, there's no Stomp.
Okay. Well, that's just great. I understand you actually wanted to sing a song for us here. Now, this is, I'm going to go out and say this. We've been doing the show here, Paul, for 26 years. This is our 26th season. And this is something we don't do very often. I mean, the last time we did it, I believe, was for David Carradine.
Oh, okay.
And he came on and played Easy. And you know, it's just, like I said, it's something we don't do a lot here in the 26 years here. It's a different kind of thing for us. I guess we can go ahead and set up for that. Timothy Burnfield, Paul, he's been our floor manager for 10 years now. And hell of a guy. And go ahead and set up everything. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a track from your new album, I'm assuming.
It's called I Still Believe.
I Still Believe. I Still Believe by Paul Nelson-Ruiz, ladies and gentlemen.
Walking along another lonely night, singing a song that just ain't feeling so right. If I had a choice, you know I'd choose a different state of mind, another life, but I can't lose. And I still believe in walks by the moonlight, and I still wish upon that first star I see at night, and I still believe in a love so true. Now, baby, I'm wondering, do you believe too? Take my hand inside your hand, be my woman and I'll try to be your man. Stay a while, don't leave so soon, because it's gonna take a lot of time to heal these wounds. And I still believe in walks by the moonlight, and I still wish upon the first star I see at night, and I still believe in a love so true. And baby, I'm wondering, do you believe too? Do you believe too?
Paul, thank you.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. My second guest tonight has been termed a journalistic prodigy for the new millennium, and he is the author of the best-selling book entitled Martin's Mile, and is currently plugging his new book, Flowerville. It's a collection of essays and investigative reports. It's a pleasure to welcome on Mr. Richard Lewis.
It's good to be here.
Ricky, thanks for being on.
Please, Richard.
Okay, fine, Richard.
I'm actually, it's kind of interesting to be here. I mean, I've actually watched your program. I watched it about 10 years ago, and it was just, I don't know, it wasn't really quite my thing at the time, but it's nice to be here.
Sometimes it isn't. I mean, we've been doing the show for 26 seasons.
Well, that's a little before my time. So.
Yes, we have been around, as they say, quite a while. And I tell you what, Richard, I really enjoyed Martin's Mile, but I want to talk a little bit about that in a minute. But first, I'd like to know, I think it's really interesting. It's really interesting how you got your start. From what I understand.
Definitely going back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, Lonnie, basically what happened was at McKinley High School. I went to school in Urbana, and basically what was happening was I was working on the newspaper, and I was looking for some stories to do, and I did an investigative report basically on my principal, I found out that he was taking money out of the class ring collection, and it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but at the time it was just. Anyways, it got picked up by the local paper, the Urbana Weekly, and then it went to the AP. And once it gets to that point, it's one of those sort of novelty stories that gets passed around, and so that's sort of how I got started. I actually got contacted by the bigger paper in Urbana, and so
that of course led to a journalistic scholarship too.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
I went to University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign, which I think was a little overrated, actually. I know it has a really big journalism school, but it didn't really work out that well.
Of course, you began work on Martin's Mile.
Yeah.
While you were still.
That was in '96, actually. I have a good friend, Martin Shiflett, who I met at Urbana, and that was probably the best thing that that school actually. Well, I don't want to get too out on it, but he went over. He was in the reserves. That's how he paid his way through school, and so he went over to the whole Gulf War thing. And when he got back, he just had a lot of problems, like medical problems. But I guess you kind of have to know him. It would sort of, he wouldn't go in, and he wouldn't go to the doctor and stuff. So, but anyways, it was eventually Gulf War syndrome, but we didn't really know that at the time. So that book was mostly just my experience with him, and the things he went through.
And of course, kind of, I want to say it led it was the forerunner for the exposure of Gulf War syndrome. It kind of brought it up into the light.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd like to think it was, but basically, I mean, I wasn't trying for that. I was just trying to sort of, because he had a lot of problems. Because I mean, he didn't have, people said, well, what are you sick with? And he went to the Army, and they said, what's the problem? And he said, I don't know, and I mean, it doesn't. It's hard to get credibility when you can't pinpoint what your problem is,
Richard, tell me a little bit about your new book entitled Flowerville. Well, I mean, I've been writing for magazines a lot too, in addition to newspapers. I've been doing some articles, and basically this is just a collection of a lot of the essays I've written. Some of them have been previously published, but a lot of them are just ones that I've had off and on been working on for 2 or 3 years previous to that. So there's about 25 essays, and the best one, though, I think, the one that at least is my favorite, is The Power Team. Yes, I found that one pretty extremely interesting. I, of course, never heard of The Power Team.
The Power Team? Basically, it's like judo for Christ or something. It's this sort of, it's this club. It's like a cult almost, but it's just people are like tearing phone books with their bare hands. They're cracking blocks of ice with their heads.
As you say, I believe in the essay, tearing phone books for the Lord. Tearing
phone books for the Lord. It's this sort of carnal, it's like for the greater glory of God. If we can just tear this phone book, or and then they'll move on to the, they'll start with small phone books and build up, and they have it's sort of a big stage presence. It's just bizarre, really bizarre.
And from what I understand, you traveled with the group, the team.
Yeah, yeah. They're really mostly big in the Northeast. So I went all the way through New York, back through Illinois, and down actually sort of south towards Washington.
In the north, really. I mean, it seems to me that they would be popular in the South.
That's what I mean. That's what I would have thought too. But the South is just a different mindset. This is more of a